All right, guys, I'm gonna break down and make a video here for this practice test. Or review. Here we go. So number one, I'm always gonna distribute that 2 to the parentheses. I'm getting that. And because it's cosecant, which is reciprocal of sine, remember sine and cosine start at 0, go to 2 pi. So I'm gonna set that parentheses equal to 0 and also set it equal to 2 pi. I got a lot of background noise, sorry about that. Move the pi to the other side, divide by 2, which gives me negative pi over 2. Same thing on the other side. Move the pi over, that's 1 pi, divide by 2, I get pi over 2. So that's where my graph's going to start, that's where it's going to stop. It's going to come down here, put a tick at negative pi over 2, put a tick at positive pi over 2. Now, that's where it's going to end, that's where it's going to start. Because the y-axis is right in the middle, that's going to be my second tick, which means I need a tick there and a tick there. And the amplitude is 1. So it's the reciprocal of sine. Sine starts at 0 and goes up, down, up. So the graph of sine would do this. I graph sine so I can draw the asymptote through the x-intercepts. And your answer to the graph is going to be, let's go yellow, is going to be flipping those graphs right there. All right, let's go number 2. Number 2 is tangent. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start off going, I'm going to distribute the 2 again. So I got tangent of 2x. If I distribute the 2 through here, it would cancel with the 4, make that pi over 2. Now tangent's the weird one because it doesn't start at 0 and go to 2 pi. The asymptotes for tangent are usually negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. So that's what I'm going with here. I'm going pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. When I move this one over, it'll be a positive pi over 2 there, which is just going to give me 0 on that side. Divided by 2 is still 0. This way, if I move that one over, it becomes plus pi over 2. If I do a half pi plus a half pi, it gives me 1 whole pi. Now divide by 2, get pi over 2. So I'm just going to start there, stop there. Now the good thing about tangent, that's legit what you do. So I'm going to, one of my asymptotes is a 0, the other one is at pi over 2. Those are the actual asymptotes. So the asymptote goes right through there. Tangent always crosses the x-axis halfway between the asymptotes. If I go halfway this way, I'm going to go up 1. Halfway that way, I'm going to go down negative 1. I'm going to connect the dots, la, 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 and there's tangent. Number 3 is the easiest of the 4 because there's no phase shift. So I'm just going to say 2x, which comes after secant, equals 0, and 2x equals 2 pi. Much like number 1 I did. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So I'm going to start my graph at 0, finish it at pi. Because I'm starting at 0, that's the y-axis. I'm going to go 4 ticks, which pi is the 4th one. Pi over 2 is halfway. My amplitude on this one was 4, so I'm going to go up to 4 and down to negative 4. Secant's reciprocal of cosine. Cosine starts at 1, or in this case 4, goes down, up. So the graph does like this. All right, I'll draw that so I can draw the asymptotes. The asymptotes are going to go through the x-intercepts. And then my graph, the actual answer is I'm going to flip the green graph between the asymptotes, just like that. One more of these, number 4, the last graph we have to do. So I already have, there's nothing to distribute through this time. So I'm just going to take that x plus pi over 4. This is cosecant. So I'm going 0 again and 2 pi again. On the 0, if I just move that across, obviously I just get negative pi over 4. Hopefully it's not a big deal. If I move it over here, I get negative pi over 4, and I'm going to talk you through this fraction thing one more time. That's really 2 pi over 1. And remember, the quickest way to subtract fractions is multiply your denominators, that's 4. Cross multiply. 4 times 2 is 8 pi. 1 times pi is 1 pi. 8 pi minus 1 pi is 7 pi over 4. That's where I'm going to stop. So I'm going to draw my graph here. Negative pi over 4 is pretty close to the x-axis. 7 pi over 4 is pretty far away. Halfway between is about right there. And if I'm thinking what's halfway between negative 1 and 7, remember you add them up and divide by 2. Negative 1 plus 7 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And the y-axis is not halfway between negative 1 and positive 3. So I need a tick there, I need a tick there. Cosecant is reciprocal of sine. Sine starts at 0. I need my, I forgot my amplitude. That's 2 and negative 2 on my y-axis. Sine starts at 0, usually goes up, down, up, but there's a negative sign in the front, so it's going to go down, up, down. If I connect those, all right, I can draw my asymptotes now. One there, one there. Don't forget the first one over here. and then I can draw my graph. It's going to flip the green graph in between the asymptotes. A little bit ugly there. All right, that's 1 through 4. Hope that helps a little bit. All right, 5 through 8, just telling the amplitude, period, and phase shift. Amplitude, remember, it's a number in the front. Amplitude must be positive. If that was a -3, I still would put 3. The way you find the period is you do 2 pi divided by b. In this case, b is 1, so just 2 pi. The phase shift, the way you find the phase shift is you do -c over b. Again, in this case, I'm going to do -pi over 4 over 1 because b is 1. All right, number 6, a little bit tougher because there's a b. All right, so my amplitude is just 6. Golly, sorry about that. It's 5, the number in the front. Got to be positive. Period. 2 pi divided by b. b is 1/6. So I'm going to keep change flip right there, which gives me 12 pi. And then my phase shift. My phase shift is the opposite of c, which is pi over 3, over b, which is 1/6. So I'm going pi over 3 times 6 over 1. Gives me 2 pi. Number 7, amplitude is 2. This is a good one because b is 1 again. Period is 2 pi divided by b, which is just 2 pi. Phase shift is -c, which is positive pi over 3 over b, which is just 1. So that's it. That's it. One more. Number 8. This 1 plus at the beginning has nothing to do with the answers I need right now. That just shifts the whole graph up 1. So my amplitude on this one is just 1 because that's what's in front of cosine. My period is 2 pi divided by b, which is 2 pi over 5. The phase shift is the opposite of c over b. So I'm going to go keep change flip again. Keep change flip, which gives me -pi over 15. All right, number 9 is just SOHCAHTOA. Got to find the third side of that triangle. If I square 7, I get 49. I don't know what the other side is, and I get 64 if I do 8 squared. If I move 49 over, that's going to be 15, so that's going to be the square root of 15. I'm not going to show all that work, but you can do Pythagorean theorem. Sine theta, make sure you look what theta is opposite over hypotenuse, which is 7/8. Cosecant is reciprocal of sine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so square root of 15 over 8. Secant is reciprocal of that, so 8 over square root of 15, just fix it. 8 on 15 over 15. Tangent's opposite over adjacent, which is going to be 7 over square root of 15. So one more time, I've got to fix that one. Take the radical to the top, take the number out on the bottom. And last of all, cotangent, just flip the one we just did. All right, number 10, evidently the doozy on the test, solve without using your calculator. So I'll go pretty quickly here. Sine pi over 4, square root 2 over 2. Cosine 2 pi over 3, these are just values you're supposed to know, so I'm kind of flying through here. Cosine pi over 4, sine 2 pi over 3, and all that's squared. Now, I'm going to simplify that before I square it. I'm going to work everything I can inside, which is what you're supposed to do, by the way, before you work outside. Those two denominators, if I multiply them, that's 4. Those two, that's also 4. And when you subtract, you need the same denominator. So I'm just going to put a big 4 down there because the whole denominator is going to be 4. My numerators, I'm just going to multiply. Square root of 2 times -1 is negative square root of 2. Minus, multiply those two, I get square root of 6. So all I have left to do is square, and here's what you can't do. You can't just square every single term. When you square a fraction, you square the whole top and you square the whole bottom. So if I square the whole bottom, I get 16. That's no big deal. On the top, because I have 2 terms, you have to go square, multiply, double, square. So if I square the first thing, if I square a negative, it becomes positive. If I square square root, the square root goes away. I'm going to multiply these two, which would be square root of 12. Positive, by the way, because negative times a negative is positive. And double it, so I'm going to put a 2 in the front. And then I'm going to square the negative square root of 6, which becomes positive 6. Now just simplify. I can add the 6 and 2, that's 8. I need to break down the 12 with the 4 and a 3. The square root of 4 is 2. 2 times that 2 is 4 on 3. And that's all over 16. One more thing. Because those 3 numbers all are multiples of 4, I'm going to take a 4 out of each one. 4 goes into 8 twice, 4 goes into 4 one time, and 4 goes into 16 4 times. All right, last stuff here. Find the exact value of cosine negative 13 pi over 6. First of all, find the reference angle. The reference angle is pi over 6. Cosine pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 2. Just got to figure out what quadrant you're in. I'm really looking at right there, negative 2 and 1/6 pi. The negative 2 goes all the way around the circle. The 1, 6 goes a little bit more, and you're going the negative direction, which puts me in quadrant 4. Cosine is positive in quadrant 4, so I'm done. Negative 480, I got to figure out how far negative 480 is from the x-axis to find my reference angle. The x-axis, one of the x-axis numbers is 540. Okay, the x-axis is like all like 180, 360, 540. It's all multiples of 180. Well, 480 is 60 away from 540, so my reference angle is 60. Sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2 also. Negative 480 would do this. Negative 480 would go to negative 360, negative 450, and negative 480 puts me in quadrant 3. Sine is negative in quadrant 3. There's that one. And one more. Average rate of change. Average rate of change means slope. Okay, so I'm doing slope is, don't forget it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my x's are right here, the 5 and the negative 2. So I'm going 5 minus negative 2. To get my y's, you got to plug in your x's. So I'm going to put the 5 in here. If I do that, I get 75 minus. Also, look where I put the 75. I put the 75 over the 5 because that's what I plugged in to get it. If I plug in negative 2 over there, I'm going to get negative 2. So on my numerator, I get 77. My denominator got 7. That works out perfectly. It doesn't work out perfect very often, but that time it did. All right. Hope that helps. Come see me if you need to before your test. I'll help you as much as I can. See you then.